Hi and welcome to another episode, and what I've got here is a Logitech G923 for the Xbox, which my wife got me for Christmas, which you should have seen in my Christmas 2022 video. So if you haven't seen that, go watch that because there's a fair few nice things. But this is me opening this up for the very first time, and I've zoomed out as much as I can, so you're going to see there's quite a bit of junk and goodness knows what else on my table. Which probably I should move out of the way, but yeah, whatever. Alright, let's get into here. Whoa, see, I am banging into things. Normally I'm zoomed in a fair bit more, aren't I? So, what do I need? I need some way of getting in here. So, as you can see, I've already opened it up. Because I did have a bit of a sneaky look. But I've not actually plugged it in yet. So can we get past everything without banging in everything? I've just banged into the mic, haven't I? So you open it up and you get this bit of paper that tells you what's what, where's the plug into things, and that's that really with that, apart from my warranty. This is the version that does not come with the shifter or the gear stick, whatever you want to call it. I did say in the Christmas video I'll probably buy that in a month's time or whatever like that, but I've been a bit giddy because Amazon messed up a little bit on some other order, and I got £5 promotional voucher thingy from them, and the shifter costs £35 at the moment, so I've picked it up for £30. In the meantime, let's get this all unboxed, and then I'll do a review of me using it later in the video. But I'm not going to show you pedals getting pressed and everything like that with my feet, because if you want to look at feet, go look at other videos. I don't do that sort of stuff. Not that I'm disgusted by feet or anything like that. I just don't see the point of you looking at my feet in socks or shoes or hairy they are or not. If I just tell you how responsive it is that I find it, you're going to have to go by that anyway, because in the end it's all personal preferences on how strong your ankles are and all that fun stuff. So let me take the wheel out of here, stuff. But what I will do in the meantime is show you this bit here. Obviously they're trying to sell you a racing seat. You get a Logitech sticker, and then there's another little look after it, all that sort of stuff. This section here I could only assume is where they would want you to store the gear stick, if you had purchased it all in one go, or if you purchase it later you can always dump it in here later on, so if you're not actually using it. So that's that bit there. But now I'm just going to take it out, because obviously it's just a wheel in a plastic bag and the pedals in a plastic bag. So let's have a look at the wheel first. Well, before the wheel, maybe I'll talk about the power supply unit. Obviously you get the cable what you need for your region, and then this power supply unit, which is just a barrel one. And if I can use my super duper eyesight, which isn't so great anymore, no, I can't read, it's so tiny. Seems to have got things from India and everything like that. Let me mess around telling you the value. I can just figure it out of taking the picture on my phone. It says 24 volts at 1.75 amps or 42 watts if you want to speak that kind of way of doing it. So let's have a look at the wheel. Let's move this out of the way. And yeah, I know all the other funny stuff in the corner, and yeah. Anyways, the wheel. So centralized, it's like that, and we can go all the way around, and then a little bit more. So you got a 1 1/4 turns, obviously in both directions. You can hear it grinding away. The valves, I say grinding, it's not really grinding. But you can hear the motor and stuff. It's got a little peeling bit that you got to take off when you're definitely keeping it. As I say, my wife picked me this up for Christmas. All she's told me is that she got a bit of a bargain from it from Amazon, and she's even told me that not to look up the prices and things like that, but even if I did, she still got it cheaper now, including now that I bought the shifter or the gear stick for it, it would still be cheaper than what it was if I'd bought it all in one go, or she had bought it all in one go, or just the wheel and the pedals by themselves is still a fair bit cheaper than what they're currently selling it for. So she's very happy with herself and getting a bargain. So clickers for the shift, you know, those sort of shifters. It's obviously the Xbox setup, so you've got what basically looks like a full gamepad, really, by the looks of it. Because I bet these are the triggers. Obviously, you've got your X, Y, A, and B, your menu and stuff. RS, B, so they're probably the trigger, well, not trigger, what are they called? Thumb ones, or whatever they're called. And then obviously the Xbox button in the middle. It feels nice. It feels like a reasonable size for a wheel. Obviously, it's not a full size wheel. Well, maybe for a very small car, but it feels like, I don't know, like a go-kart type wheel. It feels good, even though there's no motor in it. I'm on about the physical size, you know. Got sizable hands. It feels like a good grip. I could get used to holding it like this. The bottom half is slightly flattened across the bottom. Now underneath is where you need to plug everything in. So power, symbols are a bit upside down to you at the moment, but power for the pedals, and if you happen to have got the gear stick or the shifter, they plug into there as well. So there's USB. So when it comes to plugging it into the computer, it's just one USB port, which is nice, instead of like two, like it is on my flight stick, because the throttle and the stick is two different ones. This is just the one. There's points for screwing it into fancy stands and everything like that. There's clamps, which I'll show in a moment. And obviously this is the channeling for all the cabling. So if I look at it right, power, pedals, USB going out, and then the shifter. So it's all the different bits that you would need to channel out. So all four have got channeling. So when it's clamped to a table or screwed into a fancy stand, it should be flat. Should be, at least, because obviously you don't want to trap the wires. Doing the clamps, I'll just show the one side. Oh yeah, I should show like the very front of it. It looks a bit like a car, like a Mustang or something like that. I know nothing about cars, but it kind of reminds me of the reboot of Knight Rider, the car that's in that, which I believe is a Mustang. To do the clamps, you press and turn a little bit, and it'll unlock out and then pop up. If you do it properly. There we go. See, it's popped up a little bit compared to the other one. You can unscrew. How far can we unscrew? That distance. And if your table or whatever is a lot thicker, not to worry, because you can pop these off. I've seen people just grab these and pull them off, and they find it difficult, or they push them inwards and find it difficult. But yeah, there we go. You can end up that kind of distance for your table to be clamped onto. There is kind of like ridges. There's not spongy, it's just hard plastic, but there is ridges to help with, you know, getting some grip going on there. And it's the same with the funny little bits that clip on. So that should be good for this bit. Let's move over to the pedals. So we've got the pedals now. So obviously we've got the accelerator, brake, which is some stiffness on it, and clutch. Now, I know from looking at reviews and everything like that, the brake on the G29 and the G290 it had a linear spring that was in here. So that meant basically it was the same pressure all the way down. And I'm not being funny, I'm having to use some force here. At least with my hand. It might be a lot easier with my foot, obviously, but see, easy, very easy. But this needs some give. Now, in the G923, they have changed the spring, and by them I mean Logitech. They have changed the spring to a non-linear spring. So basically, the spring itself has different areas on it of how tightly they've killed the spring, which means at first it's quite easy, and then it gets stiffer and stiffer and stiffer. Whereas the older spring, it was the same pressure all the way along, and you could get a spring replacement, and you could do some other mods and everything like that to make it more realistic. But this version already has that in. So apart from that, not really much to talk about. This bit is plastic. It's not rubberized or anything like that. It is just pressed plastic into a ridge, but a pressed plastic. The underside is a carpet grip, which I'm sure you can engage somehow. There we go. Carpet grip. Just plastic, you know, molding to make it nice and light, but also it has got mounting points for if you have a fancy stand, and it does have rubber feet if you're going to use it on a hard surface. So it's nice. It's got a carpet grip though, so you've got to be careful, of course. You don't want to ruin your carpet, but it's nice. It has that. That's an element that they should really have fitted into the pedals for what they use for flight sims. So now we've done that, I know it's yet another unboxing quickly in this. I'll open up the gear stick or the shifter, depending on where in the world you are. So yes, Logitech call it the driving force shifter, but it's a gear stick, let's be honest. Let's open this up then. This actually arrived today. I've seriously not had a look at it yet. So, covered in plastic. Cardboard box doesn't really tell you much apart from a lot of pressure down the bottom there. And we have got a manual of some sort stuck to the side. And it explains where it's got to be plugged into the steering wheel. But we don't need that, do we? So let's dump that back in there and get this box out of the way. Let's get in. Oh. Push the wires out of the way. Where the clamp is. Rustle, rustle, rustle. Let's get rid of that. It's got the same idea on the clamps of, you know, you get it into place and then you lock it into place so that it's not sticking up. And it's got quite a large area for clamping in as well, but it's also got screw points or bolting points. And there, this wheel comes out. The wire comes out. More peely stuff like that. So now I have seen mods for this so that so where it is, it's got the gear stick. Now, obviously, it's like the H design sort of thing. Off to the left, I'm assuming top left is 1, 2, come to central, 3, 4, go to the right, 5, 6, and then for reverse, you have to push down, push to the right and down, and then it'll hold into place. That's what you expect, isn't it? I've seen people just hold it down to try to get reverse. You actually are supposed to push down and push to the right and down. because you push down and push to, you can't actually go, you can go forward and backwards, but you can't go to the left, but you can go to the right and down. So that's how you engage reverse. I have seen that there's a mod for this as well, well, a few mods, of where you unscrew all of this and you put a 3D printed part, so it makes it feel more like a car, supposedly. I mean, I'm not, it's a bit slack compared to a real car, but this is arcade simulator type of thing. I'd think this was quite good. If you want to go full simulator though, yes, I can understand why maybe you'd want to go for a mod of some sort. Now, you can get bits that change the top bit and everything. This bit you can pop off and go inside. There's also a spring mod that you can do for this, is where basically it adds a smaller but stronger spring, a bit of plastic, and there's a ball bearing inside that clicks into place where it's going, and it makes that more defined. It's a more of a clunk click that you're doing, which is a bit more of maybe what you want for a full-on simulator. But I think for me, for quite some time, I'm going to be happy with the way this feels. I mean, obviously I need to test it within a game. So I'm going to move on to that part now of where I play in a game. I'm probably going to use Wreckfest, play against some online buddies, see how far I get at beating them using a wheel versus just using an Xbox gamepad. If I beat them at all, and instead of playing the car from behind, actually pretend I'm sat inside the car and see how well I do. But either way, as I said, I'm not going to film this in use because you can tell I've really not got an awful lot of space to be doing that sort of thing. I'll just tell you how I feel about it in the end. And if you think that's a rubbish review, fair enough. Doesn't bother me. Go watch someone else's video. I really mean that in the most polite way. I just did get an awful lot of this is rubbish reviews for my flight sim one, where I didn't show me actually using the pedals, and yet I also had other people thanking me very much for explaining how it felt, not just show. So can't please everybody, but that's how I'm going to do it. So in the meantime, I'm going to mess around now, plug all this in, find a USB port to my computer I can finally fit it in, and see how far I get. Until then, well, I'm back in a moment for you guys, aren't I? Well, let me stay at this box for a little bit and my hands waving around while I tell you about the wheel and the shifter. Now, I played Retrotech Ralph and Muso John against them in Wreckfest. At first, I just used it as default in the LG settings and in the settings within the game for the wheel and everything. They were off, so they beat me quite easily on doing that. So while they were messing around, go getting a drink and whatever else, I played around on the internet and found a website that explains how to set up the wheel. The settings for that were really nice. Other people have different ideas on what the settings should be, so you might have to tweak what you find anyway, especially if it's for like the G920 or the G92, because obviously I've got the G923. Things are a little bit different. But the thing is, though, is that it was a lot closer to actually using the wheel the way you'd expect in an arcade or in a simulator. Now, I can't really explain or compare to another wheel. If you want to watch videos like comparing it to a Thrustmaster or something like that, go have a look at that video. For me, though, arcade style driving, I'm not taking it particularly serious. I have just got it strapped to my table and it's on the floor. It works fine. And I've also played around with some other settings, just playing the game by itself, me against the computer, and I think I've got it set the way that I would like it to be now. I might go back to the older settings that I found on the internet. I will link that web page or that site. But in general, as a wheel, yes, I'm not going to show you my feet messing around with the pedals and my hands playing around with the wheel or playing with the shifter. It's what you expect. The G923 has had the brake spring made different compared to what it was on the earlier versions. So it's not a linear spring anymore. I forgot what the type of spring it is, but it's not a linear one. So not that I've done a load of driving, I don't currently have a car, but the thing is I have played plenty of arcade machines and things like that, and pressing the accelerator is what you expect from pressing the accelerator. Pressing the brake is what you expect for pressing a brake, and same with the clutch. If you want to go for full-on simulator mode, I would say that this is probably good for low end. You might want to have a look at the Thrustmaster. But if you want to play arcade style driving and stuff, this is more than good enough. If anything, it's probably over the top. So that's as best a review I can do on it, because as I say, there's no point me showing you my socked feet and messing around with wheels, because it's all down to personal preference anyway. No matter what one person says to another, it's down to personal preference for what you want to use it for, what the game you want to use it for, what you're used to driving in real life maybe. You know, there's all these different things of that. Do you want an arcade effect? Do you want a simulator? How close to the real thing do you really want it to be? Getting this at the price that I did do, which was roughly £260. I realised my wife bought me the main bit as a present, but she wanted to let me know that, you know, she got it as a bargain. And besides, I was buying this, so it's not as if I wasn't going to come across the price. Yeah, £260 is an awful lot for a wheel, but at the same time, you're not going to get like this level of feeling with a £50 wheel that you can buy for budget from some cheap shop that supposedly works across all different PCs and consoles, with force feedback and all that sort of stuff. You're just not going to get it. So again, comes down to your budget and what you're really chasing. So with that though, I would recommend buying it from the likes of Amazon, because if you don't like it, you can always send it back within the 30 days, can't you? With that, go check the links for the Discord and the Patreon, and don't forget to hit the like, subscribe and notification bell. But as always, happy gaming.